Aloha, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're expecting a bit more, but we want to respect your time. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. Aloha, my name is Osatui, and I'm your HSTA State President. For those of you who are new to teaching, welcome. Teaching is such a wonderfully rewarding profession. There are some rough times, as we all know, going through the first couple of weeks of this school year and the whole last year, if you were teaching then. But there's also some great times. You know, I've gotten to go to former students' weddings and invited to see the births of their children and things like that, and the connections you make with your former students and your students makes it really rewarding. I am a former high school math teacher and what we call the registrar. For those of you in secondary schools, that's the person who sets up the master schedule, does all the transcripts and the grades and the registering students and releasing students and the report cards and things like that. So that's been my job for the past many years at McKinley High School. And speaking of many years, HST has been around for 50 years now, advocating on behalf of all of you folks and the teachers' needs. Usually there's new teacher orientations by chapters. And so if you've been able to attend those, great, you get to know your chapter leaders. But we also wanted to put together this one at the state level in case you either weren't able to make those or you just wanted to hear more about what HST is all about. We do have 12 chapters across the state. We have 4 on the Big Island. We have Maui, Molokai, Lanai, 4 on Oahu, and Kauai. So you're one of those chapters. Thank you so much. Our organization, we have our state officers, of which there's me. We have Logan Okita, your vice president, here today, Lisa Morrison, your secretary treasurer, and your NEA director is Aaron Kubo. And then you have your board of directors. Each chapter has so many people on the board of directors, so we make decisions on behalf of all of our members. And then we get all the way down to our school level leaders. So if you ever need help at your school, consult with your school level leaders, your HSTA school level leaders. They're called faculty representatives, or your head faculty representative, or what you call the APC or Association Policy Committee folks, or your grievance rep if there are issues. And they're there to help you navigate issues in your school and work with you to try and resolve issues. So that's the top and the bottom of the structure. We also have in the middle our committees. We have a bunch of state level committees, the elections committee, our charter bylaws and resolutions committee, elections committee where they handle the elections of our officers and various things, our charter bylaws and resolutions committee where they work on our articles of incorporation, our bylaws, our governance documents. Then we have our government relations committee where they interface with either our legislators or with the Board of Education. We have our human and civil rights committee where they work on those issues of racial and social justice. We have our membership services committee. A lot of what you're going to hear today is a result of the work that our membership services committee does to do things on your behalf. You're a member. What can we do for you folks as a service? And then we have our negotiations committee. You're going to hear later today from our chief negotiator, Andrea Eshelman. And you're going to hear from, I believe, Logan Okita about the Educator Effectiveness System, which is a teacher evaluation, and you can ask some questions there. And then we've just added a new committee literally this month, we've made it more official, I should say, which is called SHINE. And that's supporting Hawaii's new educators. And so you're going to hear what they have to work with you. You folks are our target audience for our SHINE committee to be able to work with. You'll hear about professional development or PD opportunities that we offer as well. You'll hear about retirement. You know, it's never too early to start planning for retirement. The nest egg you put in now will have the longest time to grow into something great when comes time to retire from this wonderful profession. You'll hear about health benefits from what's called EUTF, otherwise known as the Employer Union Health Benefits Trust Fund. And so you'll get a bunch of information there. You'll hear from the HSTA VEBA folks on opportunities there. And then you'll have an opportunity to ask some questions related to COVID, because that is top of mind right now. And then we're going to end with our NEA director, Aaron Kubo. NEA is the National Education Association. By being a member of HSTA, you also automatically become a member of NEA, our national, and we are an affiliate of that national. HSTA is in Ohana, and we would like for you to join our Ohana. You know, together we can work together and to do great things on your behalf and with you. We're going to have a video right now to tell you more about our past and what we do. And again, I want to just thank you all for being here. Mahalo. Give us one moment. Getting it set up right
Awkward
now.
pause.
And it was going so perfectly.
Let me double check. Terry, are you able to pull that up? Hold on. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Terry.
I feel like I should fill in the gap, and as soon as I start to talk, the video will begin, or maybe not. It's been an interesting year so far. So while we pull that up, you know, we're fighting on your behalf. I shouldn't say fighting, we're advocating on your behalf to make sure that you have safe schools, safe classrooms. The Department of Education right now is saying everything's safe, everything's fine, but we know from you folks, we know from your colleagues that not everything that can be done is being done, and that's very worrisome for us. That is of concern. We did an open letter just recently to those who are making decisions to come and sit down with us at the table. Last year, to begin the school year, we had what's called a memorandum of understanding, and that was to kind of put in place, these are the safety protocols we want in terms of COVID. Well, starting this year, everyone who makes decisions, I should say, felt no worries, no worries. And here's our video.
HSTA has been there for us through thick and thin, has really helped us out, especially with negotiating our contract.
They're fighting for us, definitely. You know, fighting for better work conditions and for a competitive salary, and also that they're trying to take care of our students.
Aloha, I'm Osatui, president of the Hawaii State Teachers Association. I'm also a high school math teacher and registrar in HSTA's Honolulu chapter. What is HSTA? HSTA is our union. We stand strong with over 13,000 educators across the state of Hawaii, and 98% are members of HSTA. I'm proud to represent each and every one of you as HSTA's president. HSTA fights every day to make our schools better for our teachers and our keiki. We're working for you to help you grow as an educator, to give you a voice, and to create a safe and diverse community. That's clearly spelled out in our mission. By taking action together, we harness our collective power. Even though the coronavirus pandemic prevented us from gathering in person for rallies, institute, and conventions, we made our power felt with solid results. In the summer of 2020, hundreds of our members provided written and live testimony to the Board of Education, convincing the board to overrule the superintendent to give school staff more time to plan for distance learning at the beginning of the school year. Your testimony also helped convince the BOE to order the superintendent to adhere to our COVID-19 Memorandum of Understanding to keep schools as safe as possible during the pandemic. As negotiations began for our latest contract, there was talk of 20% pay cuts. Then, the employer formally proposed cuts of 9% and ending stipends for everyone from department heads and grade level chairs to librarians, along with band, choir, and drama directors. But your negotiations team held strong and made sure there was no loss in base salary, that teachers not in the highest class could still reclassify by continuing to earn credits, that department and grade level chairs and others continued to receive their stipends, and that the $2,500 bonus remained for those in the department upon completing their probationary period.
I'm Logan Okita, and I'm Vice President of the Hawaii State Teachers Association. I'm also an elementary school teacher in HSTA's Central Chapter. The HSTA was incorporated in 1971, and we've made sure to have our voice at the table in every conversation important to public education in Hawaii since then. HSTA not only represents classroom teachers, we also advocate for our non-classroom teachers as well, such as counselors, librarians, registrars, student activities coordinators, and others. It hasn't always been easy. We have had to fight for the voices of educators and students to be heard through rallies, protests, and in the most extreme cases, strikes. Our teachers walked the picket lines in 1973 and 2001. And when our members came together with collective action during those walkouts, they benefited greatly with better contracts, significant raises, and improvements in working conditions. It's hard to believe that only a few decades ago, before HSTA was formed, that teachers didn't get lunch breaks, were forced to clean their own classrooms, and endured open-ended workdays. We have learned over these 50+ years that we are stronger together. To that end, we offer member-led professional development courses, with teachers teaching fellow teachers to improve their practice and help HSTA members qualify for reclassification and raises worth thousands of dollars. HSTA also offers training and support all the way through the National Board Certification process, allowing members to improve their practice and earn a $5,000 a year bonus. If they teach at certain designated schools, the annual bonus is $10,000.
I'm Lisa Morrison, HSTA's Secretary-Treasurer. I'm a high school arts and communication teacher in our Maui chapter. Our staff and volunteer leaders across the state work very hard to support and protect our members at every step of their teaching journey. Aspiring educators, along with early career and second career educators, benefit from our workshops, training, and networking events. Those dealing with college debt can learn how to decrease or even eliminate their college loans at our free seminars. We also look out for your financial needs with free financial and retirement planning workshops, as well as travel, retail, and restaurant discounts. We recently began a free higher education benefit for HSTA members and their families, so they can get an associate or bachelor's degree with no out-of-pocket costs. HSTA's Welcome Home Mortgage Program offers members stronger financial security through affordable and simple mortgage financing for their new home purchase or refinance. Members also benefit from exclusive access to insurance plans, including life, accident, critical illness, and long-term care insurance that's as much as 75% cheaper than plans available on the open market. And as an HSTA member, you are automatically covered by a free $1 million liability policy that would easily cost $1,000 a year if you were able to purchase it on your own.
Aloha, I'm Aaron Kubo, your NEA Director and Intermediate School Social Studies teacher from HSTA Hilo Chapter. I am your representative to the National Education Association, the largest labor union in the country with more than 2.5 million members.
We are as diverse as the students we represent and united in our purpose, championing justice and excellence in public education to ensure every student has a voice. The NEA advocates at the federal level for public school educators and the keiki they teach. It provides training, research, and support on everything from educator rights to working conditions. The NEA and HSTA are also committed to addressing systemic racial and social inequities in education. Through community events, legislative action, and leadership development, our members are passionate about creating schools and communities that are safe, inclusive, and welcoming to all keiki.
The union has helped me to help our kids. I think that's one of the major parts that the union does, is support our keiki in their learning.
Our union is stronger when we work together, and together we can give our keiki the schools they deserve. To the 13,000 members of HSTA, Thank you. And if you're not a member, we invite you to join our ohana. Mahalo.
Okay, and now we have Andrea Eshelman, our Deputy Executive Director, to explain some of our contractual highlights. Andy, on to you.
Thanks, Logan. Good afternoon, everybody. As Logan indicated, I'm Andrea Eshelman. I'm the Deputy Executive Director here at HSTA and the Chief Negotiator. I'm going to share a PowerPoint, which will be shared with you folks as a PDF that has clickable links. And I did see that we had a question in the chat, so I will make sure that I address that question at the end of the presentation. So let me go ahead and start. Share my screen here. So this portion of the presentation is to give you a very kind of broad understanding of some of the contractual provisions that may come into play as a new teacher and working in the state of Hawaii in public education. The state of Hawaii does have a collective bargaining law, and that requires that there is an exclusive representative who negotiates the contract for those who fall under what's called bargaining unit 5, which are all the teachers, including non-classroom types. I believe Logan covered that in the earlier video. So we do represent folks such as counselors, registrars, resource teachers, and the like. Our right to collectively bargain is found in our state constitution. We're one of the few states that have it incorporated into the state constitution, and it does provide a strength and power to take collective action to protect the rights of students and teachers. Our contract can be found on our website, and I will actually, let me escape out of this one and just show you our website real quick. So if you go to our website up here under members, if you click on contract, you don't have to log in or anything like that. It is publicly available. It will download this PDF, which is a searchable PDF of the collective bargaining agreement. So I'll be referencing various articles as I go along. And oh, Terry is telling me I need to move the Zoom bar. Let's see here. Is that better? Hopefully you guys can see. If I can get a thumbs up from somebody, that would be great. Logan, does that look okay?
Yes, that's much better.
That look better? Okay, so you can find our contract there. It is a searchable PDF. We just settled this contract earlier this year in June. And so we will be in the process of getting it printed in the near future and distributed to teachers, but a lot of folks like to have the electronic version as well. And so you can download it on our website. Probably the number one thing that we get questions about is pay for new teachers. This is our current salary schedule. It's also found in the contract. One of the things that you're going to want to pay attention to when you are checking to see your salary is to look at the initial classification piece. And so there is initial classification and reclassification. Reclassification is after you have entered and been placed on the salary schedule, and then you earn credits and you move across the salary schedule. So there are 3 locations that you can come into the salary schedule. Class 2, which is the BA column, bachelor's. Class 3, which is a BA plus 30 or a master's. That's this column here. And then class 7, which is a doctorate. And so that is this column here. One thing that I will note is that in order to get credit or recognized for that master's or that doctorate, it's going to need to be related to public education or to education field, and or it needs to be related to the coursework that you're going to be teaching. We frequently get folks who come in with, say, a master's in business administration, but their teaching degree is in, say, English. They're not going to get credit for that master's in business administration because that's not what they're teaching and that's not what their educational certification is in. Most teachers start at step 5, which is the entry-level salary for folks who have finished their state-approved teacher education program. You can get additional credits for years of service teaching outside of the state, up to 6 additional years. And then there is an entry level section, what we call instructor level, for those folks who are not complete with their state approved teacher ed program. And you'll see this little notation here, this footmark or footnote that says step 1, entry level, step 3 have not completed state approved teacher education program. So your salary is very much dependent on your education and what you have come into the system with. I will also note that these steps are not currently correlated to any specific years of service. The steps since the late 70s have been something that we have to negotiate. And normally we try to negotiate as many as possible. The last few years, there has been a step movement every other year. Unfortunately, with COVID and budget cuts, we do not have a step movement in the next 2 years. And so this salary schedule will be the salary schedule effective the start of this school year and will be in place for next school year as well. Salary reclassification, I mentioned, you can move across the salary schedule. Strongly encourage you to take advantage of our professional development courses, which I think we'll talk about later today. You earn 15 professional development credits or academic credits. You can start to move across the salary schedule. We have some folks that come in and within 3 or 4 years are already at class 7, which is a large difference in pay. So for example, if you come in at class 2 with a BA step 5, it's a $50,000 starting salary. But if you reclassify across to 7, you will be at $64,500. You do have to stay in that classification for the first year of employment. And then after that, you can move each semester. So you can reclassify twice a year. Depending on which class you're moving between, is between a 3 and 8% increase in salary. If you are a charter school, they have their own reclassification systems that are generally separate from the Department of Education. But the deadline for DOE reclassification is in October 30th or March 30th of each respective semester. Probation complete bonus. A lot of folks are not aware of this. This is something that's in the contract. So in the state of Hawaii, it is required that you do 6 semesters of probation before you earn tenure. Tenure gives you a right to a continuing contractual agreement unless you decide to quit, retire, get terminated, or leave the system for some reason. You will have a renewal of your contract going forward. Until that point, you're on a year-to-year contract. Once you have successfully completed your 6 semesters of probation, you will then return in your 7th semester, which for most people is going to be in the fall. And then you will have earned your tenure and you will be paid what's called a probation complete bonus. That incentive is $2,500 and it is paid in either October or April of the respective 7th semester that you have returned. Other types of compensation that you may fall under within the contract or other means include a hard to staff location retention, which is $3,000. In addition, in 2020, in January, the Department of Education, with agreement of the association, implemented shortage differentials for other geographical areas and increased those shortage differentials in various areas. The hyperlink and the PDF will take you to that article on our website, and you can read those. For example, on the island of Oahu, the Leeward Coast, generally folks who are working in that area are going to qualify if they are licensed and classroom teachers. We also have shortage differentials for those who are special education classroom teachers of $10,000. It's the largest shortage differential in the US. And then we also have a shortage differential for classroom teachers who teach Hawaiian immersion. We also have a national board certified teacher bonus, which is in the state law. It's one of the higher ones across the country. If you hold this type of certification, you will qualify for $5,000 a year in addition to your base pay. In addition, if you teach at certain hard to staff or targeted schools, you can qualify for an additional $5,000 for a possibility of $10,000. All of these things are what we call stackable. So for example, if you're a national board certified teacher teaching SPED in the Waianae Coast, you would get $10,000 for this national board. You would get another $10,000 for that SPED, and then you would get additional pay for being in a hard to staff area. So those can be very much what they are intended, which is to encourage folks to teach in those shortage areas. And that is why those compensations are there. We also have additional compensation in the contract for things such as department heads. That's what a DH is, or a grade level chair at the elementary level, librarians, agriculture teachers, band, drama, and choir directors. So if you have questions about that, that's in the back of our contract under supplementary pay. And then in addition, our contract does have a provision that the employer will pay your licensing fees. However, recent law changes and funding to the Hawaii Teacher Licensing Board has changed in that they have enough funding that they are waiving people's fees right now. So once you're in the system, your fees should be waived for your license. Another area that we get a lot of questions about is leave and paid time off, and whether I'm paid for that time or not. Do I get vacation, etc. For most teachers, you are a 10-month employee. You work generally from around the last week of July through late May or the first week of June, depending on how the calendar falls. You're off for the months of June and July. A few of you might be working in multi-track school, so you do have a schedule year round, but you have larger chunks and breaks throughout the school to make up for that summer. Those 10-month teachers, excuse me, those 10-month teachers will be given 18 sick leave days up front at the start of the school year. If you're a 12-month teacher, which we have about 750 of those statewide, those are special positions that are year round, they get 21 days of sick leave up front. It is credited up front. You can carry it over from year to year, and there are some provisions where you can convert that into personal, professional, or family leave as needed, so you can be on a paid status. We have a whole slew of paid holidays. Basically, those are the state paid holidays that you do get the day off and you are paid for. There's a contract provision that they can't ask you to work during those days. In addition, teachers have paid vacation days, but for 10-monthers, they are scheduled. So the paid vacation days for 10-month teachers and 12-month teachers include the day after Thanksgiving, the 2-week winter break, and the 1-week spring break that usually is scheduled around March in between third and fourth quarter. In addition, if you are 12-month teachers, there are 14 vacation days that they can schedule throughout the year. In addition, you have the right to take personal or professional development leave. That leave is converted from your sick leave bank. So if you have 18 days of sick leave and you decide to take a personal leave, then you will now have 17 days of sick leave because you converted one of those days for your personal use. You can convert up to 6 days a year. Of the 6 days, in addition, you have a right to take up to 4 as half days, but you are responsible to find your own sub if you're going to seek out doing a half-day leave. Very few teachers take advantage of that because it's usually just more complicated and they just take the full day. But you do have the ability to do that if, say, you have an afternoon doctor's appointment or something. You do need to give 48 hours notice unless it's an emergency. And you cannot use those leaves with the express purpose to extend a vacation, an intercession, a holiday, or to avoid attending some sort of waiver or planning and collaboration day. Our contract is filled with a lot of other teaching condition provisions, things around work year, work day, preparation time, lesson planning, academic freedom, things of that sort. I'm going to highlight a few of the most kind of common questions that we get from new hires in the next few slides, but I would encourage you to take some time to flip through the contract when you have a chance, or if you have specific questions, we can definitely try to address those. Your work year as a 10-month employee is 190 work days a year. However, one of those days is actually converted to hours. So technically you have to report 189 days a year. Of that 189 days, all of them are student days with the exception of the following. There are 4 days up front at the start of the school year. 2 of them are controlled by teachers. It's self-initiated. You do what you need to do to prep for your year. 2 of them are controlled by admin to do various admin meetings, faculty meetings, things of that sort. There is 1 day between the semesters that you get for your own personally initiated activities for grading and preparation for the next semester. There is 1 day that is converted, which is this piece here. It's a 6-hour extended day. There is 1 day at the end of the school year for you to do your grading and wrapping up for the school year without students. There is 1 day for Institute Day, which is a day that is planned for by HSTA, and it's a professional development day that you'll hear more about as we get closer to, which is going to be in February. And then each school is provided 2 days of planning and collaboration. They're exactly what they sound like. Your school, students don't attend school on those days, and your school gets together and does planning and collaboration. Your scheduled work day, so what the employer can schedule you for. That does not necessarily mean that's how many hours you work a day, because I think we all can admit that if you're a teacher, you're probably working beyond that day to do your preparation. But your scheduled work day is 7 hours a day. It can be redistributed depending on your bell schedule, as long as it doesn't exceed 35 hours a week. And you cannot be scheduled to work past 4:30. Most schools are following a 7-hour-a-day schedule. I will note, when you look here, this 6 hours of extended day, your principal has the opportunity 6 times a year to add an hour to your workday. So if you normally are done at 3 o'clock, they could extend it and say on a faculty meeting day, we're going to add another hour, and you stay till 4 o'clock. You are entitled to a duty-free lunch of no less than 30 minutes, and that truly means duty-free. So you are not supposed to be supervising students. You're not supposed to be escorting them places. You're not supposed to be doing recess duty. It is 30 minutes for yourself, and it is paid time. We are really lucky to have had folks ahead who long before us negotiated this. Some of your colleagues in the school setting do not necessarily have a paid lunch, but teachers do. And so you do get 30 minutes a day for you to take your lunch. If you need to leave campus during that time, you are welcome to do so. In addition, you receive 225 minutes a week of preparation. That preparation time might be a common prep time that everybody has the same time. So in elementary schools, frequently that is 2:15 to 3 o'clock. It might be a floating time. At the secondary level, you might be given a free period. And so instead of teaching first period of the day, you have your prep during that time. But you get 225 minutes a week. And anytime you are given a block of preparation time, it must be a minimum of 45 minutes. And so that is for you to do personally initiated prep, whatever you need to do, grading, call parents, put together your lesson plan for the next day, etc. So those are the highlights. Logan, I'm just going to ask if there's any questions. I think there were some in the chat. Do we want to go through those real quick? Because I think I might have time.
There are a few.
Okay, so I'm going to stop my share.
Okay, so if they come in with a bachelor's and 80 extra units, can they be placed beyond class 3?
No. The Department of Education has a policy that you cannot bank those extra classes and reclassify. That's the maximum placement they will put you.
Okay, and then can you clarify the start of a probationary period for emergency hires?
So emergency hires, so teachers do not start their probationary period until you are fully licensed with the licensing board. So if you are not yet licensed, you want to work on getting that as soon as possible. State law requires you have to have a full license and within 3 years. And so you definitely want to pursue that, get that taken care of. So you may be an emergency hire for say a year, and then you start probation. So that counting of the 6 semesters will not start until you have your HTSB fully licensed and not an emergency status.
And then to go with that question, can you repeat the licensing fees and when they are paid?
So the licensing fees by the Teacher Standard Board are waived currently. If you have specific questions about that, you would want to talk to the licensing board.
Okay, and then I'm going to answer the NBCT question. National board certified teachers must have 3 years of experience prior to starting the process. And so if you've come in to Hawaii with experience, then you can count that previous experience. And if you don't have any experience, then you have 3 years before you can start. And then can you clarify about fall break and where it falls in terms of vacation?
Right. So fall break is what we call an intersession. So many years ago, our calendars were actually determined at the school level. And so different schools had different breaks and intersession, and they could move unpaid days in the summer into their calendar to give additional time. So fall intersession is not a paid time off. It is unpaid in the sense that those are days that originally were in the summertime and they move them into the calendar. However, you are paid on a prorated system. So you are paid an even amount of money over 24 pay periods. So you will not see like less money in your October paycheck unless for some reason you want to leave without pay. So you should continue to see your regular pay. Your first paycheck for this school year would be August 20th, which was last week, right? Well, actually, you probably got it in your bank account August 19th because the 20th was a holiday. And then your last paycheck for this school year will be August 5th. So you will actually receive your last paycheck for this school year cycle in the first week or so of next school year. So you will get paid in the sense that you're not going to see a break in pay, but those days are actually not paid days.
Okay, and then last question before we move on.
Oh, we got someone asking if they're required to go into your classroom over fall break. No, you're not required to go in your classroom over fall break.
Yes, no, don't do that. And then does admin decide when teachers have to take their prep time?
That is decided by your bell schedule at your given school. And it can also be in part decided by your master schedule. So as I said, for elementary, typically there's a common prep period at the end of the day. I will note that there is a provision that allows you to tell your principal you don't want to do it in the afternoon, you want to do it before school, and we can get into how that works. And then if you're at the secondary level, it's frequently common to have what's called a floating prep. So if we have 6 classes that the kids take or 7 classes, I would be given one of my periods free, and that is my prep. So yes, it's all scheduled by your administration based on your line assignment and the bell schedule.
Perfect, thank you. And then we have a whole section for COVID at the end of today's session, just because we know we'll have a lot of questions.
And I know somebody asked about the retirement. Were we able to answer that one? Looks like, oh yes, our retirement person did it.
Graham answered that.
Great, thank you.
No problem. And then would you mind answering the question about relocation bonus
information about the relocation bonuses for states who recruited from our state? I am not aware of any relocation bonus. If you were promised a relocation bonus, I sure hope you got that in writing, because that is not something that we can handle. That is pre-employment. So I would not be able to speak to that.
Thank you, Andy. Okie doke. So I have the section on EES, which is our evaluation system. So the Educator Evaluation System, also known, or Educator Effectiveness System, is our evaluation system in Hawaii. This is going to be really quick highlights because you should be formally trained at the school level. So part of our contract allows us to have a joint committee. So we have teachers and HSTA staff who sit on a committee alongside DOE staff and representatives, so that we can have a collaborative conversation about the implementation and improvements to the system. So it's just a general what it is, kind of covered that already. And training. So this is a really important date that you're going to need to know. The training deadline is October 8th of 2021. So the end of the first quarter, you must be trained it might be just watching the orientation video if this is not your first year, but if this is your first year, you also need to have a full overview training, and each complex area is doing it a little bit differently. So if you haven't been given information, please contact your administrator to ask them when your training will take place. First quarter is a safeguard. The EES Joint Committee decided at the end of last school year that we weren't sure what was going to happen over the summer. We weren't sure what COVID was going to look like this school year, and we decided that we needed to give a pause again to allow everybody to get settled before the system started. So EES is measured by teacher practice and student growth and learning. So you have core professionalism and observations or working portfolios under teacher practice, and then your SSP or SSIO under student growth and learning. Okay. So then there are 50% for student growth and learning and 50% for teacher practice. Oh, wrong direction. And then you have a comprehensive evaluation chart. So it tells you where you fall. If you're an emergency hire or probationary 0 to 2, probationary 3 to 4, probationary 5 to 6, or you're tenured on track. If you're marginal or your probation has been extended, or if you are a tenured teacher off track, your system is differentiated for you and for what supports you need. For requirements, the SSP or SSIO, I did this based on the assumption that most of you are classroom teachers. So you would do an SSP and you'd be rated on the basic rubric number 1 if you're a brand new beginning classroom teacher. Then you have your core professionalism. You have to show, sorry, ooh, hold on just a second. You have to show evidence of where you fall in domain 4 and have reflections, but you do not have to do an individualized professional development plan. And then you will have 2 or more formal observations, and it's 1 per semester, or it's at least 1 per semester. Okay, and so then there's a timeline. You'll be given this chart, but October 8th is an important deadline. December 10th is an important deadline. That's the deadline for your first semester observation. April 29th is a very important deadline. It is your full data stop. Everything must be completed by April 29th. And in May, you're focused with your principal or your evaluator, it might be your vice principal, on your ending conferences. And then on May 20th, everybody needs to be given their final effectiveness rating. So the student success plan is about outcomes or standards, and it's reflective, and you use baseline data, you create assessments, you focus on instructional strategies, and you reflect on your teaching practice. Then you have your core professionalism. Those are the responsibilities and activities teachers handle and engage in. It focuses on Charlotte Danielson's domain 4. It includes a reflection on your student perception survey results and the Hawaii growth model results. Something I learned yesterday is that some principals are trying to say that preparing for students to be in quarantine falls under core professionalism, and their expectation of you to figure out how to teach synchronously when you're not expected to falls under core professionalism. So please alert your UNISERV director if that is happening at your school. Then observations. So you are going to have either an observation in person, or if for some reason we move to, or your school or your classroom moves to a distance learning model at some point in the school year, if we are able to come to an agreement about those things, then you might need to do artifacts of instructional practices instead, and that's just collecting evidence. But every observation cycle goes through 3 key steps: a pre-observation conference, your classroom observation, and then a post-observation conference. And you must be given 24 hours notice before the observation is going to occur. So this is just a snapshot of Charlotte Danielson's domains and where we get evaluated based on her rubric. There should be a date there. So final ratings, you've made it to May 20th. Now what? So your student growth and learning rating and your teacher practice rating fall onto this chart to determine whether you're unsatisfactory, marginal, effective, or highly effective. Okay. So your impact on employment actions. You have a minimum of 6 semesters for probationary status, and you must complete at least 2 consecutive annual overall ratings with a rating of effective or better in the last 2 years of probation to gain tenure. If you are rated marginal, you're supposed to be given assistance to improve your performance, and unsatisfactory performance ratings will be dismissed. Okay, so there's a chart on page 38 of your EES manual that explains what your teacher status is, where you fell last year, where you fall this year, and then what employment actions take place. However, HSTA provides you with protections. For evaluations less than satisfactory, they require a proper documentation, and teachers whose contract is not renewed, you are supposed to be given a hearing with HSTA representation, and then HSTA members are a part of the EES Joint Committee so that we can make sure we're continuing to improve the process. And then this is a really important number. The EES Help Desk is staffed by your fellow teachers. They're staffed by bargaining unit 5 members just like you, but they are the experts in EES. They are able to answer your questions and provide assistance. So you're going to want to remember 808-586-4072 and bit.ly/HIDO-EES. So this is a really important help desk to be able to answer your questions throughout the school year. Okay, and I already see some questions popping up or something popping up. Okay. And yes, the PowerPoints are all going to be sent out once your evaluations are complete. Are there any EES questions? That was really quick, but it's supposed to just be a nice simple taste before you go through your training, and we will offer other EES opportunities later in the year. It's not as pertinent right now. Okay. And if there's no questions about EES, I'm going to throw it to HSTA Secretary Treasurer Lisa Morrison, who's going to talk and share about professional development. Lisa?
Thanks, Logan. Okay, great. And for those of you who are following along, I'm going to put the first link in the chat that I'm going to be looking at. So you're welcome to look at it on your own rather than on the screen. But I am going to share my screen now. And let me pick a different window because that was not the one I wanted. If you are looking at the right thing, will you tell me, does it say, how can we help you under pda.hsta.org?
No, we are looking at PDE3's website on your.
That's next. So let me stop and I'll reshare. Thank you. There we go. Okay. So if you can see in the chat, this is the website that I've gone to. The great thing that I get to talk about is professional development and how you can move across the pay scale. And this is something that has been available, but what I'm excited about is that HSTA is offering courses now that if you complete them, you can get reimbursed for the cost so that you can do this without incurring cost to yourself, which you do not need at this time when you're just starting out. As was mentioned, you won't be able to completely reclassify to another class for the pay scale until you've been in place for 2 semesters, which would be a year. But these are courses that you can start on now in order to be ready for that. So if you go to pd.hsta.org, As a member of HSTA, you would be able to sign up for these courses. And I'm going to just look at a couple of the highlighted courses here. I want to especially look at the ones that are for supporting English language learners or ESL sheltered instruction, because those will also help for meeting the requirement that the department has right now for teachers to have 6 credits of those courses in compliance with the rule that they're putting out. But there are many other courses available. And what you do is if you pay the course fee upfront of $150 and then you complete the course and turn in your portfolio, you're able to get reimbursed for those. And if you're wondering how it is that you even sign up for these, that's the other screen that I wanted to share. So let me do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and put that link in the chat as well. So your school may or may not have introduced you to this yet, but PDE 3 is run by the district, and it is the spot where your all of your credits, whether they are available for non-PD credit or PD credit, or they're things that you're using to be able to get highly qualified, many reasons, it's all contained in here. This is also, as Logan was explaining, where you're going to be doing your educator effectiveness. But the part that I'm going to be focusing on in PD3, and you're about to look at mine, which is really not that exciting, but I'm logged into mine, is the learning opportunities. So when you go into learning opportunities, there are many things that you can look at. They give information about how you can, what you need to do to take PD credit courses, how you can get reclassified with them. For many of you, what will be of most interest is that anything that you did before that hasn't already affected your classification in the DOE is not something that you'll be able to use, unfortunately. It's only those things that you take from the moment of hire on that are given credit within the Department of Education. When you go under learning opportunities here, you can always look at the things that you've already done. You'll see I have a lot of stuff in mine. My computer's decided not to pull it up right away, but here we go. Okay, so as I scroll through mine, as you start to complete courses, they will show up in here. Not all of these are things that count for the credit in terms of reclassifying. And for example, last year at the onset of COVID, we were required to watch a lot of safety videos, and those are things listed in here, but don't count for any kind of reclassification. If you go to PD credit, that's the tab that you want to look at in terms of things that are going to help raise your pay. You'll see that I have completed what were previously our 21 hours of job embedded professional development. But if you go back a little bit, we have classes that I took in order to use. And for example, the 21st Century Classroom Level 2, that was a course that I took through HSTA, taught by a teacher who works in the DOE in order to improve my practice and also move across the pay scale. You're going to need 15 credits in order to move over one class, and that usually equates to 5 3-credit courses. You can look those up. If you go back out of learning opportunities, back into this spot, not looking at your transcript, but looking under learning opportunity, this is where you can search for courses. And I don't find it incredibly easy to look for courses, but I have heard from somebody the kinds of things that they look for. And just one moment. When you search for learning opportunities, I have friends that search by topic. Sometimes they search by grade level. I have one that said that she searches by free. She likes to look for things that are actually free. And for example, if you want to look for opportunities in math, you type in math and courses that come up will indicate the seats that they have left, when they're going to start, and you can look for more information in them. You can look by content, sorry for the motorcycle outside, content area, grade level, etc. And like I said, my friend looks under free. And so you can look under course fee and look for none, and then go ahead and look from there. A lot of things are going to cost, but it just kind of depends. The other thing that you need to look out for in here is some of them are only for certain complexes, and you want to be really careful to make sure that they are also for PD credit, because that is the only thing that's going to help you in terms of moving across the fee schedule. I have to be honest, anymore, I don't take a class unless it is recommended by a fellow teacher friend that they said it was good, or that it's offered by HSTA, because those are the ones that are going to do best for you. I don't want to go into too much detail about the courses, and because you're new and it's going to take a while to get all 5 of them in order to reclass. But I will say that the most important thing that you need to do when you're looking to take a class is to fill out the approval form, because you always have to have pre-approval from your principal that these are courses that would be eligible for reclassification. Because after you take them, then you're going to fill out the final form and turn both the approval and that into reclassification. You need to make sure that your principal signs off on these. Now, I don't recommend that you wait to sign up for them until your principal approves. Go ahead and sign up and then turn it in, just in case, because many times friends of mine who have waited to get the approval from their principal have missed out because the classes fill up so quickly. There's a lot of demand for them. And I was just waiting for this to pop up. This is what the instructions are here so that you can understand what it is to fill out the form. But I mistakenly did not bring up the correct form. That was the instruction. Here's the form, which is 200-005A, very similar to what it looks like when you get it filled out afterward. You can find all of this in PDE3, as you saw when I logged in and went to learning opportunities. All of that was there. Before I continue, I see Andrea has her hand up. Andrea?
Thanks, Lisa. I did want to add on for folks that in the most recent contract negotiations, we negotiated some relaxation to the procedures. We are actively, Lisa, talking with the department right now. It looks like they're going to combine everything into one form, and it'll be a lot simpler to submit. And they are planning to do electronic submission of reclassification.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, but you guys are the first people I've told, because literally the meeting was last Thursday, and I'm waiting for the documentation. So, be on the lookout for the reclassification memo that should be coming hopefully out soon with those new improvements.
Thank you. I hope for the sake of every teacher that that is actually the case, because the reason we have to describe this in such detail is that this can be a labyrinthian process. I really recommend that as you do this, you reach out to veteran teachers who have done this for their help, because unfortunately you will find at any school a story where someone did not do it correctly and then was denied the pay that they deserved. And it can be really tricky. So I just wanted to let you know that these forms are there, but you want to be reaching out and having fellow teachers help you with filling these items out. You're certainly smart enough to do it, but all of us have been there where we missed one thing. So you fill this out to get the courses approved, and you have an opportunity to put the number of the PD course that's listed in PDE3 in here. And then you're going to submit this to your principal. And I'm sure that everyone would agree with me that you should make copies of everything you fill out before you turn it into your principal. After your principal signs it, also make a copy and keep that for your records before you send it in. And it is true that even though the PDE3 site, just one second, what am I sharing at the moment is what I would like to know. Hopefully I'm sharing the form. Okay. All this information is here on the teacher reclass, but what I want to point out is even though this information is housed here, the teacher reclassification unit does not look at what you have in your PDE3, and that is why you have to still turn in the forms. I'm hoping that Andrea is right and it will all become really simple and electronic soon, right? But for the moment, anytime that you need to get any information, you're going to need to contact teacher reclassification. They actually prefer an email that includes your employee ID number. That's that 8-digit employee ID number, so they can help you. But their phone number is also available for you to reach out to them. If you're looking to take a course that's available from a university or college, you're going to need to check with them and make sure that the accreditation and that the course would actually be available for reclassification. And I'm sure that I'm probably forgetting parts, but I really don't want to overwhelm everybody because some of these, have to do with what you'd need later. I'm available for questions. And then Logan and Andrea, if there's anything that you think I need to add or explain, please tell me.
Oh, I think that was a good overview. I answered the one question, or I answered the 2 questions in the chat. So I think we are set there, unless there are any others. Okay, thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. Next up, we have our newest committee and our newest committee chair. Chris Castillo, are you available? Where'd you go on my screen? There you are. Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Chris. So,
hi.
Osa gave a quick overview of what Shine is, but here's Chris to tell us more.
Hi, so I'm Chris. I'm super excited for this new opportunity. And there are a couple familiar names from Institute Day when we met some of you new teachers, and I had it all and I just blanked because I'm amazed to be in this position where I am, to be able to know that from where I was 8 years ago, that I'm doing something that I wish someone did for me. And so I hope that Shine is able to help you guys on your transitions into becoming the best teachers ever, whether it's socially, emotionally, professionally, and just overall staying into a profession that you continue to love forever and ever. And I'm getting emotional because you will continue to hear stories of how hard teaching is getting, but the outcome will always be here. And I just saw some of my kids, like while I was stuck in traffic getting out of Waianae, who are currently about to graduate this year. And we were sitting side by side in cars, and they're like, "Hey, mister." And that feeling of just having them come back to you, knowing that you made a difference in their life, is something that I want to be able to help you guys in any way possible. And it's not just me, right? You could also be a part of the team too. New teachers know what new teachers need. And, veterans, we have a lot of experience, but we don't face all the problems that you guys currently face. Like, we brought the truck, you guys are putting on more of the load. So if you also want to be a part of that team to support new teachers, reach out that's a good question on who to reach out to. Is it me?
You can put your email in the chat. I'm going to put mine in the chat. And if you're interested in joining Shine, we can get you in contact with the right people.
I will put my email in that chat too. And I hope that I see you soon at anything that we can put out for you guys. Thank you so much for this opportunity to meet you, and enjoy. As great as it can be right now, we just gotta go over a few tidal waves and then it'll be smooth sailing from then.
Thank you, Chris. And Terry added the Shine email. So if you would like to email shine@hsta.org and let us know that you're interested in joining us, that would be fantastic also. Next up, we have from VEBA, Brenda Shiroma. Oh, Brenda, you're muted.
Mute myself. Okay, now can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
All right. Okay. So the HSTA VEBA Trust was established in 1985 for you, the HSTA member. And our mission is to support HSTA members. So, you know, our trustees, they're right there on the screen, and they are teachers. All of them are teachers. They're either retired or active, and as well as HSTA members. So our trustees are the ones that select the plans that will benefit teachers. As teachers, you know, they know what teachers want. Okay, the trust is a nonprofit organization, so no one receives commission, and that means that the insurance carriers can pass on the savings to you, the member. So we have affordable group rates like life insurance for only $1.50 per month, and the trust provides subsidies for 3 of its voluntary plans, saving you money. Our plans are exclusively for HSTA members, and all plans are DAGS payroll deducted. So you don't need to remember to write a check, saving you money and time. And we are located on Ala Street in Honolulu, near downtown. And so when you call our office, you're going to be talking to someone who lives here. Now, these are the plans that we have available to you. We have disability insurance, which protects a percentage of your monthly salary if you become disabled and unable to work due to an accident or injury. And the difference between the short and the long-term income protection is an elimination period. If your family has a history of heart disease or cancer, you may want to consider critical illness. That's where you will receive a lump sum payment if you're diagnosed with one of the specific medical conditions on the policy. Then we have accident insurance, which pays a set benefit amount based on the type of injury you have and the type of treatment you may need. And we have 2 life insurance policies. So consider our plans as a safety net in case you are forced to go without a paycheck due to a back injury, cancer, heart disease, other illnesses that cause absences from work. Okay, one of the many benefits of being an HSTA member is that the trust will automatically enroll you in the long-term care insurance base plan and subsidize 100% of the monthly premium. So that's right, you get the long-term care insurance base plan for free when you enroll in another HSTA VEBA Trust plan. And not only that, when you enroll, you will have 60 days to buy up. That means you can increase, change your plans without having to complete medical questions. And another great benefit of being an HSTA member is that our trustees understand how important the short-term income protection is. So they will pay $10 of your monthly premium. And if you enroll in the accident insurance, the trust will pay $5 of your monthly premium. And as a new member, you'll be receiving a benefits of belonging booklet. You have 60 days to turn in your enrollment forms without having to complete any more forms, and it's guaranteed issue for those 60 days. On the front of the benefits of belonging booklet, there's going to be a due date stamped on there. So as long as you get the forms in before that due date. I'm going to be mailing out the booklets in September. So be on the lookout for a large envelope from HSTA VEBA Trust. So I just wanted to give a few examples because we have great plans, but one of the plans I'd like to mention is our STIP or short-term income protection. And here's some examples. So if you're unable to work because you're walking and you tripped and you injured your ankle, you don't have any sick leave to stay home to rest, Or let's say you're going to start a family. You used up all your sick leave and now you need to be off work because you're going to have another baby. Or let's say if you caught something contagious from your coworker and you have to stay home. So what are you going to do if you have no or little sick leave? Well, if you were enrolled in the STIP or short-term income protection, you'd file a claim, you use all your sick leave days, and the STIP would start after your sick leave is depleted or on the 8th day, whichever is later. So that's better than not having a paycheck at all. So if you want to learn more about our plans, like the disability insurance I just talked about, the STIP, I'll be conducting a webinar on Monday, October 11th at 9 o'clock. And this is the first day of spring break. So if you just join me, register today before you forget, and there's the on their screen. And here's my contact information. I'll also put that in the chat too. So you can check out our website as well. Okay, wait, let me stop sharing. And that's it, short and sweet.
Thank you, Brenda. Okay, and next up we have Graham Inomoto from NEA Retirement. Graham, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Logan. First of all, I just want to say thank you for all to you new teachers who are starting out in these worst of times with COVID going on. So I know it can't be easy to adjust yourself, but just think of it, it can only get easier as hopefully COVID goes away. But anyways, I want to introduce myself. My name is Graham Enomoto. I'm one of your 6 NEA Retirement Specialists. 6 years ago, there was a survey that was done by all the teachers, asking what they wanted from their dues. And one of the biggest answers that they got from the survey was that they wanted financial guidance. Okay, so I know that you are new teachers. So a long time ago, or as I guess the history of retirement planning or financial guidance in the teacher industry here in Hawaii is you would have all these people walking around campus before school, after school, looking to sign you up for a 403B product or retirement product. And basically you would sign up, it's because it's a good thing. You're putting away for retirement. Like Osa said, it's never too early to start saving for your retirement. But then the thing is that you would sign up, get enrolled into one of their plans, and you would hardly ever see them again. There's a lot of turnover in this business as well. So you would lose contact with that person. So here, fast forward to now, we as the NEA Retirement Specialists have partnered with HSTA for the last 6 years to provide that constant financial guidance for all the teachers. There's no cost to you. You can meet with us individually, have individual meetings, in person or on Zoom. Nowadays, I think it's been more acceptable for us to have meetings over Zoom or some sort of meeting application because of what's going on. And I just want to, tell you that we're here to be, ultimately be a financial resource to you. So if you have any questions regarding, your pension plan, where you can call the ERS, which they're the ones that handle the pension plan itself, but sometimes they're not as accessible as we are. And, all the NEA retirement specialists are very knowledgeable in terms of that. Also, as being part of the, NEA, you actually have a lot of, if you go to this website, www.neamb.com, there's a lot of benefits that you can get. So you can sign up for free life insurance. And it's a very small policy or death benefit, but it's, it's for free. There's some travel discounts. There's some other discounts where you can buy from like a Rakuten website, so you can buy other things on discounts. You can go shopping around. There's some free giveaways. Just want to mention that. And then also being part of the NEA, you get access to, again, the NEA retirement program. Okay, and I don't know, now that you're new teachers, and especially with COVID around, you probably don't see all these teachers walking around trying to sign you up for a 403B product. So let me just kind of educate you on what a 403B is really quickly. 403B is a retirement savings vehicle. It's all pre-tax contributions. your money grows tax deferred, and then when you take it out and during retirement, it's going to be taxable to you. It's all done through salary deferral. But if you ever went onto the not the HSTA website, but the state 403B website, there's about 33 different choices to choose from in terms of 403B companies. And so, you just getting into the system, you don't even know, you probably get inundated, or you probably feel overwhelmed. You see a list of 33, you're like, okay, which one do I choose? So what we can tell you, there's good products on there, there's bad products. But what we want to inform you is that the NEA actually has their own products on that list that's approved, that all the teachers can have access to. So we're the ones, if we were to meet with you and you want to start saving to help supplement your retirement, because you're already contributing 8% of your paycheck to the hybrid plan that you're automatically enrolled in when you first start here in the state of Hawaii, but you want to put some more money away to supplement that retirement, we'll go ahead and use those NEA retirement products. And we usually find out that they're lower in cost and lower in fees, and we'll help you educate you on other options that you may have. The last thing that I want to share with you is, let's see. Oh, let me go back to this. Sorry, share the screen. We put on a lot of different seminars during the semester. So we actually, for this semester, let me see here. Sorry. No. Where did I leave? Okay, anyways, if you can see this, sorry. I thought I was ready, but I guess I'm not. We actually mailed this out to all the schools. This is just a list of all the webinars that you'll be able to go ahead and view. So you can see that, let me see here. There's going to be seminars. If you have student debt, we're going to have 2 seminars during this first semester about student debt, navigating it, how to maybe pay off, taking advantage of some of the federal programs that are available to you. We have seminars that are talking about 403Bs, different types of management. Are you on track to retire? This is more of our pre-retirement seminar for those who maybe have 10 years out till retirement, but you're welcome to join in. And just, information and learning is, the more you hear it, the better you'll feel, and the more you'll pick up on things. We have financial planning for new parents. So usually this is a baby shower event that we usually do. We have market updates, maximizing Social Security seminars, planning your financial journey. So this is more for the teachers that are just starting out, in terms of your careers. That would be a good one for you to join in on, but you are more than welcome to log in. I don't think we cap these seminars at any point. You can jump in and log in. So look out for those in your mailbox. Again, we won't just have seminars for this semester, but we'll have seminars during second semester, and we'll also be there on Institute Day presenting, doing some sort of presentation. And then if you want to get into contact with us, I'm gonna, let's see, stop share this screen. I'm gonna share my information. Here, if you want to get into contact with us, here's our phone number. You'll talk to one of our secretaries. They'll take your information down and then set you up with an appointment with one of the NEA Retirement Specialists, or you can email us at info@shirishiFinancialGroup.com. But if you have any questions, please put it in the chat box, or again, reach out to one of these by phone or email, and then. Yeah, that's all I have to say. But no, I appreciate you, again, your time and you choosing this career path, and you teaching our keiki.
Graham, there's one question so far in the chat.
Let me see.
So the 8% to ERS is their pension, correct?
Correct. So if you have a membership date, so the hybrid plan has 2 tiers. There's tier 1, there's tier 2. So I'm thinking, if this is a new hiree, most of your membership dates are going to be here in 2021. So you guys are going to be in hybrid tier 2. So in that pension plan, you're going to be contributing 8% of your paycheck. Unfortunately, it's not an option. It's automatic. But yes, 8% is going to be deducted from your salary. So when you look at your pay stubs, like Philip mentioned in his question, there's going to be a box for a retirement box where you'll see a deduction. You see a dollar amount, and that dollar amount is gonna be just showing you that yes, there's a percentage of your or portion of your paycheck being taken out for retirement.
Thank you, Graham.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't look like there's anything else right now.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Oh, and is that percent matched by the DOE? Are you?
No, unfortunately, there's no match to it, but there is some interest gained on it, but unfortunately, there's no match.
And my best advice that I received as a new teacher was to start putting something away. And my financial advisor didn't make it be a lot, but said, let's start small. And she now forces me to meet with her every year. We have a great relationship, but that's the best way to pay yourself later on. Thank you so much, Graham.
No, thank you, Logan.
Okay, and now we have from EUTF. Oh, there's Marvin. Perfect. Thank you, Marvin. You're up. And you're muted.
Yes, I was muted. Thank you for that. Good morning. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marvin Judd. I'm with the EUTF. So we handle your health benefits. So let me go ahead and pull up the presentation here. All right. Okay, so again, thank you folks for your service. I'm a product of public school system. I graduated from Kalaheo High School. Wow, over 15 years ago. So I'm getting up there in age. But we handle your health benefits. So I'll go over it with you folks. Pension, all that saving, that's very important. Also, your health benefits, right, are very important. So I'm going to go over it with you folks. Hopefully, it makes sense. I have a few examples for you folks to get the best out of it. Okay, so let's see if we can get through this in 10 minutes here. Okay, so this is just the agenda for today. Real briefly, I'll go over eligibility, premiums and contributions, health plan selection, enrollment, and then making changes. Okay, so we have a bunch of resources for you folks, okay? So if you don't get, all the information that you can from me today, just hop onto our website, okay? So it's eutf.hawaii.gov, and then you wanna click on the Active Employees tab, okay? In that tab, you'll find a new hire checklist, which is very helpful for filling out your paperwork to enroll into your health benefits. It's called an EC1 form. You have to fill that out and send it in to your personnel. We have a reference guide that goes into detail about all the plans we offer. And then we also have a premium contribution table so you can see how much the plans are going to be, right? Because health insurance isn't free. You do have to pay a premium that gets deducted from your paycheck on whichever plan you pick. And then we also have a premium calculator and a plan finder. Okay, so this is just a copy of the reference guide. That's what it looks like. I urge you to at least look it over before you pick your plans because there's a bunch of useful information that's in this reference guide. Okay, eligibility. So who can be covered under your health plan? So a legal spouse or partner. So partners can be either domestic or civil union, and then children by birth, marriage, adoption, and placement for adoption. Children are covered up until the age of 26 for medical and prescription drugs because of the Affordable Care Act. And then for dental and vision, that's only covered up until the age of 19. It can extend up until the age of 24 if they're unmarried and a full-time student. Okay, so keep that in mind. And then coverage can be continued for unmarried child, regardless of age, who is incapable of self-support due to mental or physical incapacities that existed prior to turning 19. Okay, so the physician will have to fill out our form and you can send that in. So premiums and contributions. So this is a copy of the rate sheet. So I urge you to look at this rate sheet before you sign up for which plans. We also have the rates on the enrollment form. Okay, so while you're filling out the form, you can kind of see how much will be deducted from your paycheck. And then this is a premium calculator. It's a very useful tool that we have online. You just have to select which plan you're thinking about enrolling into. And then you can also select 2 other plan options to compare the totals with. Okay, so if you pick like a really expensive plan in the beginning, and then you want to see what the lesser plans, how much it will cost, it'll give you the breakdown. Okay, so I urge you to check that out too when you have some free time. Okay, so these are just some things to consider when picking a health plan. So of course you want to know what the premiums are. That's the monthly amount that gets deducted from your paychecks. Deductibles, you want to know if your plan has deductibles or not. It works just like car insurance, right? If you have like a $500 deductible, you have to pay that first, and then the plan benefit begins. Really, the only plan that has a deductible is the 7525 HMSA plan. Okay, so keep that in mind. Calendar year versus plan year. Some benefits renew on a calendar year, which is January 1st. And then some benefits renew on a plan year, which is July 1st. Okay, so a lot of the dental and the supplemental plan benefits renew, July 1st. Okay, so keep that in mind. And then in-network versus out-of-network. Some plans you can go, in and out of network. Some plans, like if you have an HMO, you can really only go in network. So you want to know the difference between that. And then co-insurance versus co-payment. So co-payment is like a fixed dollar amount. So a lot of the HMO plans, they have a fixed dollar amount, like $15 flat fee when you go see the doctor. Co-insurance is a percentage. Okay, so a lot of the PPO plans, 90-10, 80-20, you have to pay 20% or 10% of whatever the bill is. And then maximum out of pocket. If you're not familiar with maximum out of pocket, it's there for your financial protection, just in case of a catastrophic injury or illness. What it does is it puts a cap on how much you have to spend out of pocket when you get injured or sick, right? You don't want $1 million hospital claim and then you have to pay 10% of that, right? That's a lot of money. So all our plans have caps on how much you actually spend out of pocket. So once you hit that cap, the plan turns into a 100% plan. And usually you don't have to pay for anything, maybe tax or something like that. Okay, so these maximum out of pockets reset every calendar year. So every January 1st, it will reset and then you have to contribute again towards that. Okay, so here's a couple examples of kind of how to pick a plan. So Rick is considering enrolling into the 90-10, 80-20, or 75-25 plan. Okay, so these are what the annual premium amounts is. Okay, so for the 90-10 plan, it's about $6,000. For the 80-20 plan, it's about $3,500. And then for the 75-25 plan, it's just about $1,000, okay, annually to be enrolled into these plans. Okay, Rick anticipates maybe about 4 doctor visits throughout the calendar year. His doctors charge about $100 per visit, so a total of $400. So under the 90-10 plan, right, it's a co-insurance. You want to take 10% out of that, which is $40. There's no deductible, so it's just $5,974. Okay, it's the co-insurance plus the premiums for that year. That's how much annually he'll pay if he chose the 90-10 plan. Okay, let's do the same thing for the 80-20 plan. So 20% or $80. And then we just add that towards the premiums for that year. So $3,610. Okay, so he's saving a lot of money there. And then the 75-25 plan. So 25% is $100. Again, this plan has a deductible, but it doesn't count towards office visits. So we can cross that out. It's just $100 plus the premiums for that year, $1,100. Okay, so if you're fairly healthy, right, you don't have kids, you don't have to put them on the plan, you're a single person, maybe that 75-25 plan is a good plan for you. You could save lots of money, right? You could save thousands of dollars in premiums as long as you don't, get really sick or hurt or something like that, right? So that's a great plan for, healthy individuals, okay? So let's look on the flip side, okay? What happens if you have this huge $19,000 medical bill? Okay, so under the 90-10 plan, we got to take 10% of that, 1,900. It didn't meet the maximum out of pocket, so it's $7,844. Under the 80-20 plan, there's a 20% co-insurance, $3,800. But this time it hit this plan's maximum out of pocket. Okay, this plan's maximum out of pocket is $2,500. So under the 80-20 plan, he doesn't have to spend that full $3,800. Okay, we can change that to $2,500, add back in the premiums for that year, $6,030. Okay, and then under the 75-25 plan, we'll do the same thing, 25%, $4,700. This time the deductible does come into play. Okay, so it hits the maximum out of pocket under the 75-25 plan right on the head at $5,000. Okay, we'll add back in the premiums for that year. So it comes out to $6,003. So in this scenario, the 75-25 plan, you get the most out of this benefit as well. So this year, if you pick the 75-25 plan, no matter if you have a really huge illness or you get hurt, the 75-25 plan is pretty comparable to the other plans monetarily wise. Okay, so not every year it's like this. Some years the 80-20 plans a little bit better financially if you have a huge medical bill, but this year it's a 75-25 plan. Okay, so a lot of times the 90-10 plan doesn't really save you money at all. Okay, so you want to keep that in mind. It's more of peace of mind, right? If you have a plan like that. Okay, so that's just a breakdown of the plans and how they work with that maximum out of pocket. Okay, real quickly, I'll just go over that EC1 form. This is the form you have to fill out and send into personnel. Okay, so you want to check off the new hire box. You have to put your social security number for us to process, and then the coverage start date. Okay, there's three options. You can either have it start your new hire date. So if it was today, it would start on today's date, or you could pick option number 2, which would start on the 1st of next month, or you could have it start on the 15th of next month. That would be the third option. Okay, so totally up to you folks. If you need it to start right away, it will start on this day, but we will charge you the full premiums for the paid period. If you have other type of insurance that will cover you to the end of this month, then maybe you want to try option number 2 that would start on the 1st of next month. Okay, and then the bottom section of the form, you just fill it out. If it's 2-party, single, HMSA or Kaiser, you would pick that there. And then these are all the plans that we have. So we have a bunch of plans. Sorry, I can't get into all of it right now, but definitely look on our website in the reference guide. It goes over the plan comparisons between all the plans. Okay. And then this is just the back of the form. It's real simple. If you have dependents, just put their names and whatnot there. We do need proof documents or if you are adding dependents. Okay, so that's the breakdown. But again, all this information is going to be on your new hire checklist. So just go onto our website and download that. And then you just have to read, sign, and date the form and turn that in. Okay, you will get a confirmation notice in the mail. So check out that. You can make changes if you get married or divorced throughout the year. If you don't have one of those qualifying events, you will have to wait till open enrollment, okay, to make any type of changes. Okay, so that's it for EUTF. You guys probably have a bunch of questions or maybe not, but again, we have all this information on our website. We have a dedicated new hire page for new hires. So just check that out. But if you have questions, I'll try to answer any.
There's one in the chat so far. Okay. They picked August 16th as their start date. So did it start on August 16th or is it going to start on September 16th?
It will start on August 16th if that's the choice they made. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other Looks like there aren't any other questions.
Okay.
Thank you, Marvin, for joining us. Okay, now it's the time some of us have been waiting for. We have Q&A time for COVID questions. So let me just go over a few things before we get started. Okay, so we're going to be covering teaching during COVID, an overview and Q&A. For today's session, we're going to look at some of the current resources that we have, talk about some of your protections, and then have Q&A time. Please put your questions in the chat and we will answer them to the best of our ability. Okay, so current resources, when you get the PDF after you complete the evaluation, you'll be able to click on these 3 buttons to access our website, to visit our FAQs about COVID section, to sign up for our weekly email updates, which we call Member Matters, and to access your contract. So Andy also had that in her presentation earlier. And then your protections. So you have protections under Article X in the contract, teacher protections. You have protection at the school level through your APC. Your UNISERV director, you're going to contact your UD for assistance. They're your staff person at HSTA who covers your area. And then impact bargaining. HSTA has sent a demand for impact bargaining around COVID issues. And then your Q&A. So please just remember, we might not have, well, we don't have all the answers and we might not be able to answer all of your questions, but we want to make sure we're able to support you at this time. I saw one earlier and it was about quarantine leave, and trying to go back and find it, but it was about being paid during quarantine, I think. Can you cover how pay works regarding quarantine leave due to COVID? Jonathan, are you able to grab that one for me?
Yes. So quarantine leave is actually covered in the school code. So if you are being required to quarantine because of either your school is telling you you need to quarantine or because your medical provider is telling you you need to quarantine, then you'd want to go to your SASA and ask for the quarantine leave paperwork. You could also go to the HSTA website. We have a Q&A on quarantine leave, and be able to just download the leave form for that. One thing that you should be aware of, if you are put on quarantine because you're in a class and you're a close contact, then you're on leave. That is a form of leave, and you should not be asked to teach classes while you're on that form of leave. You should have up to 5 days of lesson plans available for the sub to be able to teach it. But if you're being asked to teach while on quarantine leave, please let your UD know, and then we can sort of help get things back in alignment with the way they're supposed to be.
Okay, and then there's a question about going to take a COVID test and you needed a sub. You've already put that one in as a sick day, and that's going to come out of your sick day or your leave bank. But in the future, because I'm assuming you might end up needing to take it weekly, or you'll probably have to take it again. Is there a specific type of leave that we need to use? So our guidance is, especially if you're taking it because you are following the testing mandate and you don't have the vaccination exemption to testing, then you're going to ask your principal if they are providing coverage when you need to take the test. Correct, Jonathan? am I wording that correctly? We're asking them to first provide your leave, and if not, we recommend trying to find a test site outside of the workday. We know that there aren't very many available, and we are working with the DOE and asking them to provide or find us more options for tests. Does that answer your question, Alicia? Not really, kind of. So sorry, Jonathan, go for it.
Oh, no. So I think there are two different reasons why people would need to test, right? One would be that you're deemed to be a close contact, or you're in a classroom where you've been alerted that there was a child or an adult who has COVID, and you want to check, right? So that's one reason to test. Another reason to test is around the testing mandate. So if we're looking at the testing mandate, there's language in the school code 5100C that says that if the school requires you to get a medical examination, that it'll be at the school's expense. Now, the DOE has said to us that they don't want to abide by that language. And so in order to move forward on that, what we're asking people to do is first to ask your principal, hey, what do you want me to do? Is there a place you want me to go? Is there a specific time you want me to do it? And if they tell you, then you want to try to abide by that, right? And then submit, request that you get your time reimbursed, or if it's a paid test, that you get the test reimbursed. And then if denied, submit it for reimbursal anyway, and let your UD know what's going on, and we can try to get the grievance process started. This is happening to lots of people across the state, and we're going to be working on this on a case-by-case basis. So if you're in this situation, it's just really important that you're asking your principal, you're documenting what the responses are, you're asking for the reimbursement, and you're documenting that, and you're getting that to your UD. If it's a situation where you're a close contact, it's really important or where you think you're a close contact, I generally advise people, let your healthcare provider know what's going on. Because if your healthcare provider thinks that, hey, you should get tested, it'll be covered by insurance. Versus if you just go and say, I want to get tested, and you go and get tested at either a free site or you pay out of pocket to get it tested at Walgreens or CVS or Long's. So, those are the types of things that that you can do. I would not advise people to make up symptoms if you don't have it. But if you're in a classroom where you're told you're a close contact or you're aware of it, if your doctor then says, hey, on the safe side, I want to test you out because you're in the public or whatever, then it will be paid for. And I think that being a close contact is a qualifying event, even if you don't have symptoms.
Thank you, Jonathan. And following the school code for quarantine, we do not have a cap on quarantine leave that way. That cap on quarantine time ended with the ended in December, correct? With the other guidance. So correct. You do have a cap on your quarantine leave. Is there a specific DOE return to learn policy? I have students that have been absent. There's been no phone calls or notes from home to explain their absences. They'll miss days here or there, maybe 3, and then just come back to school. So that should be a school, you should have school guidance on what the policy is for students returning from absences, especially if they've been absent with symptoms. But if they're just absent because they had a runny nose, they're not required to have a negative test to come back. The wellness check. Sorry, I'm trying to read through. So your request, sorry, I'm reading this one. The school has a wellness check that admin tells us that if we have any of the symptoms, we need to take a COVID test and have negative results to return to work. In this situation, how would we put our request into TCs? Your base, would we interpret that as being put into quarantine then, if they're being required to test? And so then they'd use the quarantine leave code on TCs.
I think again, it depends on the situation. If you're being required to test based on being a close contact or that type of situation, I believe that you would be okay doing that. But I would just double check with your SASA on how the SASA is being advised on how to deal with it. And if it's vastly different than what you're hearing here, please let us know so that we can try to square that circle.
Because I had chronic tonsillitis, and last year if I was directed to stay home and take a test every time my symptoms flared, and I was a new teacher, I could have burned through my entire sick bank in the first semester, if that was the provision. So please alert your UD and let them know if they're continuing to push on that. Not that you should go to school sick, but that they're pushing you to use your sick leave when they're directing you to stay home. Are there any other questions about COVID? We have a lot of the COVID information on the HSTA website, and Jonathan dropped the DOE's health and safety guidance handbook into the chat if you haven't seen that or read that. If you're having a lot of issues at your school, your APC team is a great place to start. It's a committee that meets with your admin and monthly, and they bring up safety issues and contractual issues, and your safety is a contractual issue. And so if you have a safety concern, that's also a place to bring it up.
So Logan, because we had mentioned Article 10 as one of our protections. Article 10, for folks who don't know, is our teacher protection article. And one of the things in the contract says that teachers shall not be required to work in hazardous conditions, right? So when you think about that and you think about how that was originally written, it's generally, if you had a live electric wire in the middle of your classroom that was sparking, that would be a hazardous condition. Everybody could look at it and say, hey, we agree, you can't be forced to work in here. Because of the situation we're in with COVID, where we are constantly facing changing guidance and different carve-outs for the school, where we listen to the mayor or the governor say it's not safe to have more than 10 people in one space, but then we go and we look and it says, unless you're in a school, right? It creates a lot of uncertainty of what's really considered safe and what's considered not safe. And so what I've been advising folks in Honolulu to do is, if you have a real concern and you feel like the situation isn't safe, then the first thing you need to do is let somebody know, right? Let your principal know, hey, I'm in a classroom where we can't have social distancing and I have 34 kids, right? I have 34 students and I'm really worried about how tightly packed everything is and if we have enough ventilation. or whatever your concerns are, be as clear as possible. The school has different tools that they can use to try to assess things, but not every school is doing that equally, right? So we need to make sure if there's something that we don't think is safe, that we let them know it's not safe and give them a chance to respond. If their response is, you know, it's fine, go back, we don't care, this is okay, and you still feel like, look, this really isn't safe, then I think it's real at that point. Make sure you've already spoken to your APC about your concerns, and reach out to your UniServe director to talk about, hey, this is my situation, what are my options? What can we do at this point? And I think that you'll find that if you have this concern, you're not the only person on your campus with that concern, right? And one of the things your UniServe can help you do is connect with other people on your campus who have similar concerns, so that we can use our collective, our collective power and our collective smarts and experience to figure out a way to address these problems. So, so that is one of our protections. We have strong contract language on it, but because of our situation, because it's COVID and the way it plays out, we have to be, it's not as black and white as it might be in some other situations. So.
Thank you, Jonathan. And then I see that there's one non-COVID related question. You should be able to just inform your administrator if they didn't already collect who's doing morning prep and afternoon prep. Like if you're at an elementary school and we do morning or afternoon, and if they haven't already collected that information, email your principal so that it's in writing and let them know that you are opting for morning prep. It's more of a safety issue than anything else. It just has them document who is on campus from the morning. Okay, and not seeing any more COVID questions. And please know that you can always reach out to us. HSTA has a contact section on the website. It's a great place to reach us. That way you can submit a general question, and our amazing comms team figures out who it needs to go to. I'm going to call up Aaron Kubo to give us some information about NEA and close us out. Aaron, you are up.
Thank you, Logan. And thank you all for staying these extra hours here after a lovely Wednesday at work there. My name is Aaron Kubo, as Logan had just said, and I am your NEA State Director for the state of Hawaii. And the National Education, as I think also had mentioned, is our larger organization, the labor union. And so it represents public school teachers, other support personnel, faculty, staffers, college and universities, retired educators, which I hope to be one day. And so college students preparing to become teachers, right? And it has about 2.5 million members, which has huge impact, right, nationwide, the largest labor union in the country. And so I am your link to not only you as members or prospective members, and hopefully all members, and so also to other affiliates across the country, and of course, bringing those concerns nationally to our major union in Washington, D.C. And as a board director, I sit with 100 other directors across the country, making those decisions based on what's in the best needs of members. But to do so, we need to make sure we have the conversations, right, at the local level here in Hawaii. And so some of the things that NEA directors are responsible for are some of the services. I know some people have mentioned it, member benefits and things like that. I know professional development was touched on for sure, like conferences and trainings. I just finished up an SEL class not too long ago, just to kind of brush up before the school year started, right? And it was a nice takeaway tools that I could use right off the bat. And as a member, you know, those are like super valuable things that you can put in, taught by educators across the country, right, that are in the classrooms, right, that are experiencing things you are. So it's raw and it's fresh and it's now, right? And here in Hawaii, I've helped to put on some English language learner PDs for those, and that could move across the class, right, to reclassify to get more money, right? Which in the end, you know, that's what we need, right? More money in our pockets. And so at HSTA and NEA, you know, we've partnered to make those things happen. So that's very awesome. And I know that Brenda had talked about the VEBA Trust benefits, totally awesome benefits, right, to have. The NEA, I know, also has tons of benefits. I know, what's his face mentioned, we have Rakuten, right, with NEA. That is like awesome money back, right, paid back on those websites. Totally loving those. But they also have and same insurance and loans, but discounts are like always a nice one. Like if you have AT&T, Verizon, right, extra little bit off the pay there, you know, boom, little lowering the cost there. And so in the end, I don't want to keep you here longer, but overall, HSTA, NEA, we are here to advocate and support for educators at all stages in their career, right? And so if you have questions, concerns, please reach out to your school level leaders, chapter leaders, state leaders, right? And your UNICEF directors and pretty much your union, right? Get in contact with all of us, right? And again, I want to thank you all for stepping up to be educators, especially in this crazy time. I want to, in closing, say, please be safe and enjoy the rest of your evening.